Jesus Christ! My legs!
Now, I know what you may be thinking. How can Cyberpunk 2077 not be an FPS game when clearly there's first-person shooting mechanics in the game? Well, I want to inform you of what Cyberpunk 2077 is before you anticipate an FPS-focused game. So, let's talk about it. Cyberpunk 2077 is a lot of things, but is it a first-person shooter? Well, it definitely has FPS aspects to it, but is that the primary focus? I want to talk about this so that you're not disappointed when you pick up the game expecting FPS mayhem. If you expect a first-person shooter and you spend the first 6 hours of the game just talking to people, traveling and exploring, and learning about the world in Night City, then you're going to be disappointed really quickly, because this game is not focused on first-person shooting aspects. In Cyberpunk 2077, you can certainly take down enemies using guns, and there are many unique ways to approach your enemies in an FPS style. However, Cyberpunk really seems to emphasize on the RPG aspects, and leaves the first-person shooting behind. This isn't saying that the first-person shooting aspects of the game do not exist, but they are not going to be what drives the game forward. If you want a better balance between an RPG and an FPS, then a game like Borderlands 3 would be a better choice. And if you want a game which primarily focuses on FPS aspects, then a game like Call of Duty or Battlefield would be a better fit for you. These games are going to have a lot more FPS action with less RPG aspects and less dialogue. In one of IGN's hands-on reviews, where they played 16 hours of Cyberpunk 2077, they mentioned that it takes between 4 to 7 hours to complete the prologue in Cyberpunk, which holds almost zero FPS combat during those hours. The story doesn't stop there, and while there are FPS mechanics to Cyberpunk 2077, it certainly is not the focus. I know I'm saying this a lot so far, but I really want to emphasize this to those thinking it's going to be a few minutes of dialogue and then shooting guns for the next few hours. That just isn't going to be the case. Again, it's mentioned in the hands-on video that you can travel from one end of the city to another without prompting a single fight. You can explore pretty much the entire city without any combat at all, but if you wanted it, it's easy enough to find. There's plenty of customization when it comes to building your character, and not all of them are focused on FPS aspects. There are builds which focus on your tech abilities, allowing you to disrupt your enemies by sabotaging their cybernetics.
With Quick Hack, using the backdoor we unlocked a minute ago, we'll install a virus that jams the connection between the Maelstrom Ganger and his weapon. This will prevent him from firing. Looks like he's having a problem now. Nice.
You can overheat their cybernetic parts, or take control of their bodies to make them do the unthinkable. And there are many more unique ways to take out enemies without shooting them. Cyberpunk 2077 allows you to create a pacifist build, which has you sneaking around enemies and knocking them out in a stealthy fashion, instead of going in guns blazing. There will be many criminals to take down in Night City, and there will be many moments in Cyberpunk which will fancy your FPS needs. But with that, there will be many more moments which will be driving the narrative forward, and a lot of time being spent simply exploring the depths of Night City. Most of Cyberpunk will be spent building relationships, experiencing deep narrative, and exploring the city. I personally would define Cyberpunk 2077 as an action RPG, which is exactly what it is marketed as. And many of you will agree with this, but this video isn't for you. This video is for those who think that you're going to get an FPS game, and if that's all you want with Cyberpunk, then you may end up a little bit disappointed.
Welcome to the next generation of open-world adventure. Immerse yourself in Cyberpunk 2077.
If you want to chat about it, I do stream on Twitch, so feel free to follow me there. If you enjoyed the video, then subscribing is the best way to get more. Make sure you hit the bell to get notified as soon as I release new videos, and liking the video will show your appreciation. Comment below and let me know what you think. Remember to think for yourself, which means question yourself, do what makes you happy, and I'll see you all next time.
You're a dick, you know.
And you're a cunt. Maybe we'll fit together after all.
How are you so fast?
Dude, I could go faster too.
Why?
I'm a demon
Why?
hunter. I'm a demon hunter.
Good lord, I'm like forever behind you.
I know. You
What
have
is
a
this
little
thing?
boosty boost thing too. You have aspects as well? That's a
Yeah.
waygate for warlocks,
My
but we
aspect
can't
of
use
this
it.
cheated.
'cause-